Hello friends. Well, if you look in the right direction these days, you definitely understand that we are living in extremely intense times. Much is happening, crazy stuff on all levels. I guess that's not an exaggeration, and I guess that's exactly what more and more people are now realizing. It's really snowballing, as they say. The avalanche has been kicked off. The awakening is unavoidable at this time. Look at this chart. This is the solar flares over the last 7 days. Starting to September 29, we got into an M4 event here on the last day of the month, then M8.7, and this was M6 point something. Here just at the verge of Mercury turning direct, which happened around here or so. I'll show you the charts afterwards. And then the X flare on the 2nd, and since it's not been much different, a little bit on a downtrend. Again, the X flare here on October the 2nd was definitely the high point. This is the chart for it. Let me just show you quickly as we are on it. With Mars rising for Greenwich, I immediately said this is big stuff. Now the confrontation is really becoming real. Sorry. So anyway, this was the chart of when the X1 flare peaked. This is the chart when the other flare peaked, the 8.7. Here you had Uranus right in midheaven. And interestingly enough, well, let me roll it back a little bit. Let's start. This is kind of an astrological review of what has happened over the past days and where we have arrived, which is Saturn's big shift into hexagram 13 once more. Saturn here at 18 degrees 52 and 30 minutes going backwards into hexagram 13. This is based on the Human Design Systems overlay of the 64 hexagrams, which you can find on my website, on my old one. The cosmoswithin.org. The cosmoswithin.org. If you're interested, this is a super interesting and powerful additional system to understand the degrees of the zodiac, the 64 hexagrams of the I Ching. This is hexagram 13, which is ruling here between 13:15 in Aquarius to 18:52 and 30 seconds in Aquarius. Saturn naturally has been in this hexagram the last year or so for 2 times already, or at least one for many months. But now it's going back into this segment, into this powerful segment, which is the center degrees of the fixed signs, which are kind of the high point of concentrated energy. It's the anchor points in many ways, the 4 mid-seasonal points, which in the human design they call that the cross of love, versus the 4 cardinal corners of the 0 degree Aries, Libra, and Capricorn and Cancer. So the solstice points and the equinox points, they are called the cross of direction. We have direction, and we have the grounding energy within it of love. That is one of the most powerful insights in general which the human design has brought forward. There's many more. So it is this mid-season center Aquarius energy which is reactivated once more. This happened today. This is really the biggest shift of the last few days, the most focused one, as you can see with the planets in these 2 main axes, the horizon and the power axis, the consciousness, where the focus is, where we are aiming in a way. That is the crown of the tree and the roots of the tree. So you see, this is, so let me say that today, October 4, Saturn goes backward into this hexagram and only touches the very end. As you see, 1852-30 is the cutoff line here, and 1835 will be the turning point of Saturn. Let me show you the chart as I have it here. It just takes me 1 second. Here we go. That is on October 23rd, when then Saturn will station going forward again, 1835. Here you see it. So anyway, let's go back to this chart of today. That's the one. The Saturn energy shifting in a different gear, and we get to this in a minute, because Aquarius is a really super important sign for collective societal developments, and Saturn has laid the foundation over these past, whatever, 2 years, close 1.5, coming close to 2, when Jupiter and Saturn simultaneously entered Aquarius in the end of December 2020. So since Saturn is in Aquarius and restructuring society from within, that's basically what's happening. It is happening on 2 or multiple levels, if you want. We have kind of naturally grouped by the people who believe a certain agenda, a certain kind of image of reality, because it's all images, it's all basically in the end perception. Truth is perception. Because if you think of an apple tree, if you stand on this angle, you see a different tree than if you stand on this angle, because the form, the whole 3D structure moves around us if you move. So it's always, if we move, everything moves, in a simple way said. So hexagram 13 is super powerful, and it is the community with people, it's called. Let me just first, before we go deeper, so let me just say this much: October 4th till November the 10th, that is this window, this energy is once more activated. So that's for a very short period, and Uranus, as I say, turns direct on the 23rd of October. That is naturally the midpoint between these 2 days, October 4, November 10. So this is really the activation of us coming together as a humanity and pulling in the same direction. That's what November the 8th full moon really will bring. And it is, I mean, an interesting coincidence that November the 8th is also the midterm elections. So this is a supercharged day as such. And let me make a prediction. Not the people which now are in the lead will win. Let me just say that much. It will be as corrupt as the one in 2020, believe me. And this will be really the final fuse of things going off in a big way. This will be so unbelievable what we will see coming out of this, that it will shock people, literally shock people into getting a grip on reality, on what is truly going on. And once you have that first crack in the wall, then nothing can prevent you from breaking the whole crack open and seeing the whole picture. It's all a matter of time. It will happen in its own rhythm. So this is a super powerful chart. Hygeia here in the 29th, 30th degree of Scorpio, in the final degree of Scorpio here, with Hygeia in house 9, Hygeia well-being and goodness, health. Hygeia is one of the very few symbols, archetypes you could say, because each symbol is representing a certain archetype, a certain type of energy. So there's no, not many, I would say, of these archetypes have almost no shadow. Means it is really difficult to find the ill effects of that energy. So health, well-being, serendipity, it's all really nice, beautiful things, and there is Sedna at the root of the chart. I said it many times, this is really the big theme of our times, this big trine between Saturn and Sedna, which almost got perfect a few months ago. However, Pluto was still shy a little bit of exactly trining Sedna, which was to me a clear sign, yes, we are not yet fully there. Because this is the beautiful effect how these two energy in a trine, in a harmonious aspect, have to one another. Pluto is helping to uncover Sedna. Pluto is the one which rules the underworld naturally. So is Sedna in many ways. Sedna is the queen of the deep, of what is below the surface, deep down in the ocean, hidden. And as we know, the ocean, the depths of the ocean are less known than the outer space. It's unbelievable. There's so many mysteries still hiding. That's all Sedna energy, all in a allegorical, symbolic way. It is all that has been intentionally hidden, dark secrets, skeletons in closets, and yes, it's also really dark stuff like abuse and all that is very much connected to Sedna's myth. You can read it. It's a very dark myth. However, as everything has its polar balancing principle, Sedna also gives enormous depth and insight and understanding from within what a vast repertoire, if you want to say, of different emotions and states of mind there are in this universe. It really is adding this depth dimension. I mean, Sedna comes back from a 13,000, no, not quite, 11,000, I guess it's now corrected to. However, this is the best guess according to the speed it has at the times and the direction it comes from. So anyway, let's say 11,000 years. That gives you the perspective of depth. And we have this opposition of Hygeia and Sedna for the last time now. This is just happening pretty much within a couple days, will be exact. So this is one of the main themes here together with Pluto. It is really bringing healing and extracting the essence of all that depth and wealth of deep understanding of the shadow world, the underworld. And Pluto at the ascendant, naturally, this is really the kickoff point, together with that Mars and this Uranus, which we had in the two solar flares I just shown you, in cardinal position on the global chart, which I really see more and more. It really works, that Greenwich chart. It might sound strange to be able to pinpoint Earth into one location, but it is the fractal principle, and it seems really to work. That zero meridian naturally is no question, that's a no-brainer. That is a powerful line on the globe, and the choice of Greenwich as being 1/7 of a circle above the equator. That's what it is. 5129 is the northern latitude of Greenwich, as you see here, and 5126, it's a fraction of that, but 26, 51, 26, 27, somewhere in that range, that is the exact 1/7 of a circle, and the number 7 being the mystical number, the one which is on top of the pyramid of time, the 13 steps, as I also shared with you quite a few times. We have that Mayan understanding, time moves in rhythms of 13 days, 13 years, 13 weeks, 13 months. And the 13 is the dynamic structure of reality, versus the 12 is the stable frame it's built into, you could say. On that note, I really should throw that in quickly. You see, if you have two handles on a clock, the hours and the minutes, so they meet at 12 noon naturally. Now, if the small hand goes around once more, the next time they will meet is at 1:05, 2:10, 3:15, 4. You get the picture, it's always 13. 12 plus 1, the same rhythm as we have between full moons or new moons, whichever you will take. Between two full moons you have 30 days, which is 12 signs plus 1. 12 signs would be the moon coming back to its original place, 27.5 days, and then it takes 2.5 days roughly more to reach the sun again, which adds to this 30. So it's always this dynamic cycle of 13 is in there. Anyway, and that really links into the hexagram 13, which I have here. I just bear with me here quickly, find the right. Okay. Okay. So first of all, today is a powerful day. Tuesday, October the 4th is YOM KIPPUR. That's the highest Jewish holiday there is. Yom Kippur, Day of Atonement, is considered the most important holidays in the Jewish faith. Falling in the month of Tishrei, that's September, October in the Gregorian calendar, it marks the culmination of the 10 days of awe, a period of introspection and repentance that follows Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish New Year. And you remember Rosh Hashanah, that was just a few days ago, 10 days ago actually, it says here, a very powerful, also kind of alignment with what happened up in the sky. So we are extremely in sync with that rhythm. So again, today a super powerful day of atonement. And so hexagram 13, here we go. So it's let me just show you the full picture here. Images. See, that's the hexagram here. Below is fire and above is heaven. It's the fire under the heaven. It's really the image of the campfire, of sitting around the campfire and telling stories, enjoying life at its best in community with people. when communal or tribal bonds unite a group of people, great success is possible. But such bonding only develops if personal interests are subordinate to virtuous human relations, Aquarius, like open communication and empathy. So this is one of the four main connections to that cross of love, the center angles, the center points of the fixed signs. Let me share a little more here with you on that hexagram. This is here from this side, and here it says the image of the upper trigram Chien, heaven, and that of the lower is Li, the flame or fire. It is the nature of the fire to flame up to the heaven, so they really meet with one another. This gives the idea of fellowship. It is the second line that by virtue of its central character unites the five strong lines around it. Naturally this is easy visible. This is the center line of fire. It's the fuel which nourishes the fire. That is that second line. And so here clarity is within and strength without. The character of a peaceful union of men, which in order to hold together needs one yielding nature among many firm persons. So the yielding nature is what holds them together. And I found this beautiful picture here on that subject, and let me read you the story here too, because you see the I Ching is the oldest divinatory system there is on this planet. It's considered certainly 5,000 years old, and the particular thing about it is there's 64 oracles, and 64 is the number of the possible combinations of the genetic code within our DNA. So there's an amazing synchronicity there. The 64 is the square number of 8, naturally, 8 being the infinity symbol. And there's 88 constellations in the sky, and then the human design brings that all together and says the human design as such is encoded in the number 88, which is the angle between your birth chart and the moment you incarnated. You were anchoring down in the fetus, which has been slowly growing like a new built house. You only move in when it's finished to a certain degree. That is that moment roughly in the 6th month of pregnancy. And as I say, this is one of the other real great contributions of the human design system. That's easy to calculate. If you have the birth chart, and you just go exactly 88 degrees back in the sun's position. Anyway, this is just a little bit of extra information for those of you who are interested. I should say, I usually don't mention that, but I also give personal private readings, and you're most welcome to send me an email or drop me a line wherever. You know, I'm on Facebook with Celestial Rhythms Astrology Group. I would love to see you join if you're not yet there. Also, I have a channel on Telegram. Those of you who use Telegram. Also Celestial Rhythms, easy. And then naturally here now on YouTube, and thank you for being one of my subscribers. Our subscribers, sure, if you look at the bigger picture, then I am definitely just the spokesperson for the universe, so there's more to that. Anyway, also thank you if you're being a patron. I definitely am very, very pleased to say this is helping me. This is making it possible to invest more time into my passion in that sense, which is definitely astrology. So anyway, this is all also tying into this theme of fellowship, of supporting one another, of doing things together. When communal or tribal bonds unite a group of people, great success is possible, but such bonding only develops if personal interests are subordinate virtuous human relations like open communication and empathy. The broader the perspective, the greater the good that can be achieved. And we have now really a broad perspective, all people on the whole planet who are aware of a certain frequency band which many other people are still oblivious of, to put it that way. Those who have the heads above the clouds, if you want to say that other way, we are all united and we are a powerful grid. We are actually, believe it or not, we are strategically placed. We have been guided to the particular coordinates of this planet where we are meant to be. We are like a spider web overarching, connecting all the different locations, which is really something amazing. And we are consciously aware of each other. We can connect with each other, speak and communicate naturally with this wonderful tool we use here, the internet and computers and such, which were meant to push us into even greater slavery. Yes, they have managed, at least for a big portion of humanity, it has worked. There are those, you call them subversive people, who are able to dive below the average level of reality and look at it from below, really literally, and get the perspective and then become aware of the above. Anyway, so this is a super powerful time. We just have been initiated. Here is another one of a little write-up from another site, and you're welcome to, I usually just put in search hexagram 13, for example, and you get all these different places you can go and pick your information. That's the wonderful thing too about being able to do research, and naturally not everybody has the time to do that, but it's definitely, there's always time to do something in that direction and to less of something else, which might just be kind of a giving in to the lower frequency band and kind of being sluggish and just turning on that black box or whatever, looking into your little screen. And so there's always something we can improve upon how we use our time, and that's kind of where I also would like to guide you to be more selective in that sense. True fellowship among men must be based upon a concern that is universal. It is not just the private interest of the individual that creates lasting fellowships among men, but rather the goals of humanity. That is why it is said that fellowship with men in the open succeeds. If unity of this kind prevails, even difficult and dangerous tasks, such as crossing the great water, which is the greatest of tasks which are described in the I Ching. Whenever it mentions you are able to cross the great water, this means really the ability to leap from here to there, cross into a totally different dimension. This can be accomplished under this energy. But in order to bring about this sort of fellowship, a persevering and enlightened leader is needed, a man with clear, convincing and inspiring aims and the strength to carry them out. Now this, I think, is no more the case. It is the idea itself of awakening which is holding us together. We are all leaders in our own right. Each of us is a structural piece in this puzzle which is coming together, which generates the necessary energy to shift the energy from this level to that one in a non-reversive way. It will stay there. That is what is presently happening. We're going through a great transition. So let's start from ABC. I really think it's really worth looking at this in the full picture. So let's go back here to this chart for a moment. See, this is starting on the 29th, when the sun was starting to heat up, first M flares, and bigger, and if you see here that peak on the second. So let's look at what astrology has to give here in this window. 29th was Michaelmas. Michaelmas, that is the day of Saint Michael killing the dragon. Let me see here. Here we go. Michaelmas celebrates the story of Saint Michael defeating Satan. So on this day, Venus and Ceres both changed signs within an hour or so with a powerful chart. This is the first one. 7:49 it was when Venus entered its own sign Libra. Here it is 0 degrees Libra, and in that moment look at where the planets are, particularly Eris here, Celeris, Chariklo, Elatus. These are the four main characters. So Eris is the one which doesn't shy back to get into a real confrontation in search of truth. So this is a powerful force, a female force, a feminine character. Chariklo is a feminine character too. Chariklo is the wife of Chiron, and she stands for compassion, and she is the midwife. She is helping to give birth in Aquarius between 2021 and 2028, I guess. This is the window here. Chariklo is literally helping this new world to go through this birth process unharmed. This is a great protective force here in Aquarius here. And then the 25th degree here of Libra rising. Now the 25th degree of Libra will show up again, and I already show you here. It's in this chart here. That is the Sun Maki conjunction. A day or two after that, that is here at 8:19 Libra. And I mean, there's so much going on. In this 8th degree or 9th degree of Libra, that's where Mercury turned retrograde 4 weeks ago, roughly now. So Mercury and Maki already had 2 meetings, and they will have a third one on the 17th of October. Just giving you, this is a key date to mark on your calendar, check what is happening then. And that's how we learn astrology, by observing what's out there in the heavens and always trying to understand why and what is occurring, how this is connected to this language of symbols. Now, okay, Sun Maki, I'm really jumping from one subject to the next. I know. Sorry about that. If you're new here, it will take a little while, and I'm always kind of talking of the same characters. So over time, you will get the story bit by bit, and really don't take it as an obligation to learn all that. Just enjoy the explanations, I hope. So So anyway, in a nutshell, Sun Makemake, what does that mean? What is Makemake standing about? Makemake is a Kuiper belt object, takes 309 years to once travel around the zodiac. Is outside of Pluto's orbit, is in that sense in that non-resonant group, which allows for a perspective of reality, what the inner solar system represents, Pluto and within. So it is really one of these characters who are having really the status of gods, almost, of being guardians out there. And Makemake was named after the Easter Island creation god, yes, a god, who has created mankind, actually. It's a pretty big story. Actually a really beautiful myth. And the interesting thing is it's probably the first character I'm aware of who was named after a goddess or deity of the southern hemisphere. And the southern hemisphere as such is way more earthbound. It's kind of what is underwater, and the north hemisphere of Earth is kind of above water, you could think in a simple way. Said, interesting is one thing that astronomers found, that almost the whole visible universe we can look into is polarized in a similar way. I found that super interesting. So that north-south polarization seems to be extremely important. On that note, our sun does something really funny. Every 11 years it switches the field over. For 11 years north is down and minus is up, and then after 11 years it shifts, then minus is down and plus is up. So the sun has this extremely interesting swing, but overall north and south is a given. That's the thing. So the southern hemisphere more grounded in a way, and bringing this creation force really into manifestation. That's one of the aspects of Makemake. It is able to give form. It's a new way of life. Now, Makemake is audacious, brave, a drive for accomplishment, bold, courageous. It's really the warrior spirit. These young men who were competing to be the medium between humans and this deity Makemake for 1 year were chosen in that competition, where they had to bring the first egg back, and that is swimming across probably 2 or so miles of ocean currents and shark infested waters. And naturally there's always those who don't make it, so that is part of the game. It's really facing death in a way to get to that honor, into this special position of being the communicator between this dimension and that. So there's lots of implied here in the story of Makemake. So this is super important. As I say, Mercury has been traversing this degree twice already. So Mercury has really started to ground this character's energy, bring it into our voice, into our perception, into our awareness, into our focus. And then naturally Jupiter here on the other end. I mean, this in itself, this Jupiter-Mercury opposition is, and here too we have two have been already passed, and the third one is coming soon in the next few days. So Mercury is now moving direct. and this adds to it. Now, yes, I'm jumping everywhere because there's just too much to say. Yeah, sorry. So Venus entered Libra on the 29th. This was the rising degree, and then the Sun and Maki have the yearly exact conjunction, and this is the midheaven degree. So let's look at this 25th degree of Libra for a moment. And again, I'm reading you here some of the Sabian symbols interpretation by Rudyard, who did a fabulous job in editing and really going to the bottom of these oracles and giving them a wonderful description and observation. So this is 25th degree of Libra. The sight of an autumn leaf brings to a pilgrim the sudden revelation of the mystery of life and death. Keynote: the ability to discover in every experience a transcendent or cosmic meaning. How beautiful is that? It really ties into what I'm doing here. I guess it is easy to say that many more people will be coming on board and understanding that things are not random. Let's put it that way. That's enough. That's a starting point. Nothing is random. Everything is in a divine order, and this divine order is mirrored in the movements of the planets and the stars. It's not a causal connection. That is important, because it's probably what science is trying to blame astrology of, that we think that whatever the planets do will affect us here on Earth. It appears that way, but it's not really quite that way. These are fractals. They're independently reflecting the same reality. It's holographic. That is the best way to say it. And this is just one plane of projection, which is easy to read. It's really giving us the blueprint of what's going on. That is what astrology is about. And this seems to become a added ability now as we go through these next few weeks, that many more people will start to see there is this divine correlation, that nothing happens accidentally. And I mean, this in itself is a powerful chart here with this Moon Mars opposition in the ascendant-descendant axis with Sag rising. Yes, the time of the warrior has come to stand up, to use, if necessary, his force, her force, just for the sake of truth and liberty and all the wonderful values we are here to defend, which make life livable. Without them, we will rather choose to shift to another dimension. That's how intense it has gotten. We are ready to give our lives for whatever we stand for. And that is not a small statement. This is happening on a big scale right now, has been building up. We have seen it through the past months. Just think of the truckers here in Canada who devoted everything they had to show the world how wrong things move, and many have done the same in their own way, and more people. It's really a wildfire which we see now. The next planet degree I want to now, sorry, I'm really sometimes on overdrive here to have Sag rising. Not an excuse. It's just what it is. Anyway, Venus entered Libra with that exact Moon-Uranus opposition. Look at that. 1824. 1824. You can't make these things up. It's just unbelievable, the exactness the universe has, if it matters. And we are in time where it matters. Look at the other chart here. This is now 749, as I said, and the next one here is Ceres, also entering her own sign. Ceres, the earth goddess, entering Virgo. Virgo, the sign of motherhood, of being caring and protective. Here is Ceres at 0 degree. Now, when this was exact, which as you see, 8:55, that's just an hour and 6 minutes after Venus. So they are in lockstep. Whenever two planets are in lockstep, they are a real power couple. They work together. So they work in a team now for the next while. And I guess Venus isn't here till somewhere late in October, and Ceres, I guess, till even into December. So this is a longer transit. So anyway, it is the next weeks and months which are extremely potent, extremely auspicious, because planets in their own sign bring out of their best qualities. It's about harmony, of coming together, of closing shoulders, of supporting one another, of honoring beauty and harmony and all the sweet things of life, of human interactions. This is really a blessing here with the Sun in Libra too. And again, I can't say it too many times, closing in on Maki Maki. And Jupiter here is in the other on the other side, together with the Earth and Salacia, which is also one of these rare characters who are mostly positive. Salacia is joy of life, enjoyment and having fun and doing things which give you exaltation and flow out of your passion. It is passion for life in a very simple way said. That's what Salacia is. Yes, you can overdo it, then you will have to find that you overdid it, and this is an experience we all go through in our own way. This is part of the learning curve. But Salacia, Maki Maki, Jupiter, Earth, you see it, this is all a very strong mix, and we are right in the middle of it still, and this is the foundation energy for the whole next, I would say, 6 weeks or so into the eclipse, which will be then the next big step up towards the end of October, in tandem with Saturn turning direct on the 23rd of October. So in this chart here, when Ceres entered Virgo, look at the moon again. So an hour earlier, the moon was in exact opposition to Uranus, and now the moon is in an exact square to Saturn, actually applying by 1 minute, which means it's just 1 minute before the exact click of the full hour. So it even on top of it has this urgency of still pushing towards the summit. We're not yet fully there. It's still a little more necessary. That's what I chose. But there's an intense pressure and tension here. This Saturn square naturally is not an easy one. This is showing hardship and suffering, which is part of change. We cannot do anything about that. We can just be compassionate and helping where we can, give support to those who ask for it and be open-hearted and know that this is a difficult passage. Look with Saturn down here. Yes, we're going through a really difficult time in some places on this planet through the next few weeks and months. And this is definitely visible in this chart. And it is a collective experience, and the beauty again is that it brings us together. It is truly setting fire to that frequency of love and of being all connected with one another. Again, hexagram 13, community of people between now and November the 10th is where we build this foundation. So yes, this is then the Sun Maki conjunction, which we just looked at. Then just, you see this October 1st, and with the moon at 19 Sag, and with the moon at 26:54 Sag, something like 20 hours later, we have that huge first solar flare spike. Now, solar flares, let me just add one little thing for those who are kind of new to this. These are the X-ray spikes. This is the moment we see it with our earthbound telescopes. Something has happened on the sun. The light is received. That is 8 minutes after it happens, to be exact, and that is that electromagnetic pulse which is emitted the moment the flare is peaking. And these are X-ray emissions, extremely strong, extremely short wave frequencies of great intensity. So the moment when we see these big outbursts, that is the moment they really interact with us, and that's when usually there's a radio blackout over that area which faces the sun on Earth. A radio blackout means there's only white noise. You can't do anything, no radio transmission, no whatever communication possible for that moment, for that time, and that can last up to an hour or longer. If it's a really big flare, usually it's just minutes. But it shows the energetic impact on our Earth, and naturally later on usually there comes the solar wind, which carries the protons which have been expelled, which is a secondary effect of the big flares. They, at the same time when the flare goes off, shooting off this extreme X-ray frequency, the same moment or shortly after, there is a usually coronal mass ejection, which means billions of tons of solar plasma is thrown out into space, kind of in the wake of this extreme release of energy. It kind of creates a vacuum, pulls out the solar plasma. That's how one can think of it. And then it, depending on the size of the flare and the amount of solar plasma and the direction the solar plasma is exerting into space, if it's Earth directed, then naturally this can have big impacts, roughly as short as 18 hours to 3 days, depending on the speed of the solar wind. So this is the secondary effect then, which is usually talked about, which then causes northern lights and all these intense, more visible interactions with Earth, like causing blackouts, as we had in 1989 after a big solar flare, when transformers in the province of Quebec were having meltdowns, and for hours, if not days, people were without electricity for a huge portion of the province of Quebec here in Canada. That was in 1989. Anyway, this shows you, yes, the intensity. We are here at the 8.7 here now with this chart, and the next big one will be the X1 here, which we will look at in a minute. But between the two, Mercury turned direct. How about that? Really in a elevated energetic position. This was a super important moment, and as I told you already, the amazing synchronicity with this 26th degree of Aquarius. That's where Neptune was at its discovery moment in 1846. Please go back to that one, that recording. It's quite magical again. I mean, astrology really is able to pull off that invisibility cloth from the magic behind reality. So Neptune in its discovery degree together with Saturn was here. Saturn stationed in this degree this year again, so had a perfect Saturn return to that degree it was at in Neptune's discovery chart. This in itself shows something is very special about this year in regards to Neptune, which I pointed out in my last few recordings, and you can go back to them to understand what I mean. But the other degree here, which is naturally super interesting, is this 10th degree of Scorpio at the ascendant, or 11th, and the same in Taurus. And I just want to throw this chart here in between. That was the last solar eclipse we had of April the 30th, 2022. Look where the sun and moon have been meeting, in the 11th degree of Taurus. So Mercury picks up on this energy of this solar eclipse and amplifies it. This is how how astrology works. It's really that interlocking of different events, how they resonate with each other, bringing back a frequency which was implanted earlier and now amplifying it, bring it to a new level. See, that's where it was, 1038. And the Neptune discovery degree chart down here. So let's have a quick peek at Neptune here in this chart. That was the one of the last eclipse, and here you have it. Neptune, Venus and Jupiter had a grand conjunction here. Particularly this Venus-Jupiter conjunction hinted at a transformation of Neptunian energies, and that is what is happening, what we now see in process, big time. So then, okay, let's go back here for a second. This is the Mercury station. Mercury has been going backwards for 3 weeks, and at this moment it came to a full standstill, which always amplifies this energy's meaning in that moment. It's the slower something goes, the more is its impact goes into the depth of the matter. So let's read the meaning of the Sabian symbol of that 25th degree of Virgo. A flag at half-mast in front of a public building. The social acknowledgement of a job well done and a destiny fulfilled. Let me read a bit more here, the explanation Rudyard adds. As an individual who has accepted any significantly met public responsibilities reaches the end of his service to his community or to mankind as a whole, he gains social immortality, at least to some degree. In death, he becomes identified with the archetype that ensouled his public office. He becomes a culture hero, enshrined in the official memory of his race. He has found a place in history. The symbol implies the ability to carry any task to its ultimate fulfillment, provided this task is carried out with reference to the need of a collectivity, small or large as it may be. So that last sentence really is the essence of what this degree means. The ability to carry out a task or any task to its ultimate fulfillment, provided this task is carried out with reference to the need of a collectivity. Very Aquarian, very much Saturn in hexagram 13. So there is it's happening on so many levels simultaneously in different departments. With that Capricorn, first degree Capricorn moon, yes, this is big. This next 4 months, that's what this moment really entails, or holds as a seed, I should say. These next 4 months will be rebuilding society. That's what this moon is at 0 degree cardinal Capricorn. Let me just read you, I haven't really looked that up yet, but I'm sure this is a very powerful symbol too. Here it is. 1 degree Capricorn, or 1st degree Capricorn I should say. An Indian chief claims power from the assembled tribe. The keynote: power and responsibility implied in any claim for leadership. And again, we are the leaders, we who are in tune with nature, and I hope everybody who listens here is including themselves into this group. I mean, you wouldn't be there if you wouldn't. You would be kind of pushed away anyway by what I'm talking about. But many of those who are still on that side of thinking that way will soon be joining us, and this is the beautiful thing. This is part of that power. We are we who, and it's really not personal in any way. It is really, I feel that I'm representing nature. That's what it is. I'm just myself, natural, who I am, who I was meant to be, and I'm having the big advantage of knowing my chart well. So I truly understand that the way I express myself is in total synchronicity. I have definitely had to learn my lessons too, as we all do. Learn to really be myself without holding anything back. No self-censoring, as Jacqueline Hobbs over and again keeps reminding us. Super important these days. Oracle Girl, by the way, is her site, oraclegirl.org. Who's ever not yet looked her up, I strongly advise you to pay some attention there. She is the cutting edge of what's going on. She's really the one who is organizing in a way that network of bringing many of us who are ready onto the same frequency. And purification is the word she's using pretty much every time. That's the real task we are on right now, to purify, to purify our energies. The more we purify them, the more nature can come through us and be expressive in the way we have been designed for, because we carry our instructions within us. We just have to allow them to unfold and to fall in place and in resonance with time and space. So this power of leadership, of us together as a symphony, this is what is taking over this planet. Let me go back one more step here. You see, I keep forgetting to mention with that 8.7 solar flare, the moon was exactly conjunct the galactic center. That is another one. And I mean, I could go on many things about this chart. I mean, just again, this Uranus Saturn midheaven in the 9th house. So it's truly a spiritual placement, which is kind of the moment after the sun reaches its highest point in the sky. I mean, the sun just being the symbol of which we most can connect with up to that point. The light gets brighter, and now we go into a setting mode already at 12:01 p.m. We're moving towards sunset. It is a moment of humility. That is what the 9th house is. Still very high up, but very philosophical and attuned to a much greater perspective. It is really galactic perspective which comes in here with the Sagittarian energy. It's the university, the university in a very literal sense, not in that degraded way it has become of a programming and of who has the best memory to store all that BS which is implanted into people's minds. Anyway, don't want to go there too deep, but you get my 2 cents here. So this is Mercury turning direct at 9:07 a.m. on the Sunday that was, and at 8:25 p.m. on that day we had the X flare again. I showed you already of Mars rising. This was a true activation point. So we will see some pretty big moves and intense pushes towards in the right direction, and naturally also the other side will move in the same way. They always mirror, have to. It is kind of that, again, principle of balance till the battle is decided, which is still a little bit away. We're building the story, getting into the most intense period, as I say, around November the 8th. Then it really will get red hot. Yes, I say that. And into December will be the heat of the center of the heat. So we have to be patient. That's what we have been preparing for. And if you're not yet having everything in place, please do so. It's now really important. So this was really the trigger point energetically. Now things will start rolling. And as if it would not be enough, on the 3rd of October, just one day after Mercury, Arrokoth also turns direct. Arrokoth here in Capricorn has been going backwards for the last 5 months or so, and this is the moment now it will be going back forward again into new territories coming. Arrokoth is a very slow one too, one of that family of Kuiper belt objects, Cubewanos, those non-resonant ones, the same as Makemake, the same group. Arrokoth is giving us the ability to see the bigger picture. The name Arrokoth means a man standing under the open sky. Just imagine it's out in the night, in the dark, you see the whole firmament, all the stars. It is really being able to see the whole all at once and get a sense of how things are falling in place, what is true and what is false. Arrokoth is the one who can answer that question the best. While that happened, which is a 1 in a year event again, when a planet stations back to forward motion, for most 1 year, for Mercury it's 3 times a year, but that's unusual, that is very special. Because of Mercury's fast rotation, only 88 days, I didn't mention that one yet, it takes Mercury to circle the Sun. Again, this is now heliocentric, 88 days for Mercury. Anyway, sorry. So the Moon here in conjunction with Arrokoth opposed the Black Moon. This is another sign that light and shadow are coming together, being recognized as a true polarity of reality, opening also the doors to go beyond that thinking of good and bad, but seeing that both are necessary in as we are expanding, evolving. It's two forces which are challenging each other to become more conscious, more in the moment, more inclusive. It's at the very base, it's the male, female, light, dark, cold, hot. It's all these polarities. And the moon, the Black Moon, in the same line up here with Arrokoth, yes, this is indicating this is possible now. And with Jupiter and Neptune here at the bottom, this is a vision, a new vision which is born. We're going through a deep transformation on that Neptunian principle. Again, to see that there are many layers of realities depending on which depth we have in our vision. Are we able to see just one, or are we able to shift our depth perception and see the different layers of truth, if you want? So that was yesterday, and this is now today, to come back to this chart where we started off from, that big shift which is initiating this very transformative next 6 weeks, building the foundations to bring a huge evolutionary shift into full throttle. We are building. You see, even just this one is, I mean, you can't make these things up. Part of fortune here, conjunct Uranus, that moment when Saturn is changing the hexagram, the frequency of its expression through Aquarian energy. Fire under the open sky. And not forgetting where we come out of is the hexagram 49, which is revolution. So we'll get back eventually into that naturally after November the 10th. So you see where things going. However, we are coming back into this phase of regrouping and of truly bonding together to get ready for that next phase then, which will start November the 10th with Saturn's final passage through the whole hexagram, which takes us likely into February at least of 2023. 2430 is the cutoff line here. So also the Aquarian moon here, beautiful. Yes, and that Uranus part of fortune conjunction in the 3rd house of communication. Many lights will pop on. That's where also the collective evolutionary direction leads us into this bringing down these higher frequencies which are immanifest and giving them a body that is that basic polarity which is at work now for probably about a year with the nodes, the North Node being in Taurus. By the way, I mean, I should mention it, this is the other cardinal hexagram, the mid-Taurus one, which is hexagram 2, and hexagram 1 here where the South Node is. So, and as I mentioned, this is 13, this is community of people. And then the 4th, as we're on it, is number 7, the army. This is that cross of the 4 cardinal hexagrams, again the cross of love, anchoring us in reality. So this in itself is very special, that grounding in earth, planting roots of that new energy, laying the foundations. That's what it feels like. And okay, just one more chart and then we're done. Just a little preview. In 4 days from now, Pluto is turning direct. That will be a big moment. More on that coming. Thank you for joining and listening again, and I love you all. We will be successful. We will win, light will win, nature will win. Yes, nature will win. Goodbye, all these thinking of improving upon nature, changing nature. No, let's go back to nature, let's be nature. Okay, thank you, and again, give it a like, subscribe, share if you feel like doing so, and if you like to contribute, become a patron. Thank you. The link is under the video if you wanna do that. See you soon.